So I represent the Aditya Birla Group. Our group into a lot of different things. We are into fashion apparel. A lot of you probably wear Van Heusen and all of these Sabyasachi and all kinds of fashion. I don't buy it myself. My wife does, but we are into that. And then into financial services, health insurance, making cement, aluminum, carbon, and many other things. So it's like a conglomerate which does many different things in the country. So I'll tell you 4 stories today and then link it up to why I'm telling you that story and how does it matter to you. So the first story is an event we had just about a year ago. You know, all these large companies like ours have these global events, call some outsiders, get the leaders together, get them excited about what's going on. So we had folks from all over the world, political leaders, economic leaders, social leaders, all of that. And I think the people in the room walked out thinking, you know, where does India stand in the next 30 years? I think that was the theme, and everyone was talking about the future. So if you think of 4 parameters on which you can measure countries: political, economic, social, technical, PEST, easy to remember. So if you look at a PEST parameter for all the different countries and geographies, I think everyone said politically, largest democracy, fairly stable, you know, unlike some of the anarchies next to us, all of that. So really good, positive, this thing compared to everyone else. Economic, every other economy is in a bit of a doldrum. Even China, which was the big economy, which was growing at 7, 8, 10% for the last 30 years, after the new policies that have been announced, is going to grow at 4 to 5%. So again, on economic front, compared to everyone else, India is where we were, you know, scoring high marks. Social, you know, we have had a reasonably social cohesion. Look at the demographic. We are the only country which will continue to have young people for the next 50 years. Even China will start declining in 10 years, right? So social, good marks. Technology, you guys are that. I don't need to tell you. The whole digital public infrastructure that we are creating. Of course, we can't create the physical infrastructure that China did. They are doing, you know, one belt, one road, creating roads, all of that. Now, since we can't do that, we are creating our Aadhaar and our, all of this infrastructure, which will just also getting exported. You know, we are open sourcing it, exporting it to the G20 and many others and all of that. So I think, so if you look at the PEST parameters, India is the place to be for the next 20, 30 years. So that was the takeaway in that offsite that we had. So that's number 1. Second, another, you know, session happened, which was all about our group company people talking about what's happening. And we represent the entire Indian economy. You know, we have manufacturing to fashion to finance to everyone else. You know, so I think 3 themes came about. What is it that our group should focus on? How do we capitalize on this opportunity that presents itself in India? The 3 themes that came about was, one was digital. And digital is a big word and everyone means it. But basically it's all about taking advantage of new technologies. There's so many of them. We are talking about Web 3.0, there are all kinds of technologies. But the point is, every industry, every company has to have that digital DNA. So D is the first one. Second, since we are into manufacturing, sustainability, huge. Even consumers, and some of you are the millennials, I think you care about sustainability much more than what I think some of us cared about. So sustainability is the second theme, which is very critical. Okay. Oh, is it? Okay. Okay. So digital, sustainability. And third was collaboration. Because today, you can't do anything without collaborating. So those were the 3 themes that came about, that as a group, how do we all get a digital DNA? How do we all think about sustainability? And how do we all collaborate? Because there's so much that we can do together. So that was the second theme. The third one was, again, another session, which actually happened in Bangalore. And we have folks from Digital Public Infrastructure and others talk about it, saying, how are we going to drive all of this within the Aditya Birla Group? So we had all sort of come up with a framework. You know, when you are a large company and you have to drive something across the company, you got to have a common language. And that's what frameworks do. So we adopted the Gartner framework. And in very short, the Gartner framework at the top of the house talks about creating a digital ambition, which, you know, what do you want to be? How do you want to be? And it's agnostic to the business. Middle layer is how do you create the right culture of experimentation, funding, talent, all of those types of things. And the bottom layer is all about various technologies. So if you think about this framework, ways of thinking, ways of working, and ways of doing. Now, many a times in large organizations, you get stuck a lot in the ways of doing a lot of things, but not experimenting with ways of thinking, which is what you guys are doing here, not experiment with ways of working. These seem to be the world of humanities and get neglected. Everyone works in the world of science because all of us come from a science background. So I think that was something that was talked about, that we all have to work on these areas. So that's how we are, so I, by the way, represent a central team, and we are driving this whole culture of data and digital across our group. So what we are starting to do is, we work with all of these group companies, help them figure out where they want to be, what can they be, which is that whole top level of ways of thinking, digital ambition part. We help them with their talent, technologies and tools, help them with projects. But what we are finding is, what is emerging, which is common, which is the collaboration across, the common themes, which are the digital data platform that are emerging. So in a group like ours, there are 3 areas where we find commonality, which is the data platform, digital platform, which everyone can use. The first part is supply chain. So if you're a manufacturing company, procurement, logistics, that's the first part. You get the material in. Industry 4.0 within the factory. How do you reduce energy cost? How do you do product quality better? How do you do predictive maintenance because you have huge assets? How do you save cost over there? So these types of things within the industry 4.0. And then you have the customer side, whether you do dynamic pricing, mass personalization, whatever. So these are the 3 areas where we are seeing that the whole group digitally is coming together. So just taking one example of logistics. Think about logistics. You are moving a lot of trucks, rail, freight all over. So what we are finding is if you have a track and trace feature in one company, the same feature digitally can be used somewhere else. In the past, the cement company felt that the aluminum company is different and the carbon company is different and their trucks are different and they go different distances and we have nothing to share. And now suddenly when you start to go digital, you have so much to share. So suddenly digital platforms, data platforms are emerging within our group, which are very, very shareable across the group. So a lot of collaboration happening. So the way this logistics platform will evolve is that we will create, or we are rather creating a logistics council, all senior leaders who are leading logistics community, people who are working on the ground, a logistic forum at the industry level. But what the industry is doing, and this is the big thing that's happening in the country, many of you are familiar with the identity layer, the documentation layer, but now industry verticals are coming up. So ULIP is an industry logistics platform that the government is setting up. They are saying, we'll help you fast tag, many other features. So we have to tie up with the industry as well. So the whole vertically integrated data digital platform on logistics is going to happen everywhere. There's an account aggregator platform, which is going to simplify stuff for the banking industry, for many other industries. And I think that's where I think we are headed. So as a country, I think if we go from a 3 trillion economy now to a 30 trillion economy, whenever they pick your bit in the next 30 years, hopefully all of us will live to see that day. I think all of these digital technologies will help us accelerate and get there faster. So I think that the big thing that is important for all of us as a group companies are, we are collaborating internally. We are collaborating with the entire ecosystem. We have a huge startup program, investing with the academia, with startups to say, what are you guys doing? How can we use this to enhance our transformation? So that's where we are headed. So I just thought I'll leave that the place where all of this is happening. By the way, I grew up in Delhi 25 years. I've been in Bangalore. And I keep telling people, and I have friends all over the world. I said, this is the place to be. I have friends whose kids are getting educated in the US. I said, you know what? And these days, by the way, a lot of them are not getting jobs. I said, let them come here. This is the place to be. The entire digital public infrastructure is being written here. The next generation of new technologies are coming here. If your son or daughter stays in Google for the next 10 years, he'll become irrelevant for us. That's the pitch I'm giving to my friends whose kids are sort of there and not getting jobs. So with that, I'll let you guys have the panel discussion. But I think that the place to be in India and within that in Bangalore, and what better place to be in BIC. Thank you.